We should be live now.
Okay, so are we on YouTube as well?
Yeah, so we'll just see if anybody can hear us, or TikTok, if you can see and hear us, please give us a thumbs up, a hello. Same with YouTube. We should be good to go on 3 channels on that, which is pretty neat. So if you can hear us, see us, please comment, and we'll just keep her going until then. Just want to welcome everyone to this week's Sunday service, Roots Revival InterFaith. Today we have astrologer Christina Del Rey and numerologist Reverend Danny Johnson, and me, Reverend Paul Casey, taking care of you this Sunday. So we sound okay on TikTok? Get us okay? And how about YouTube? Try to pop in on that and see. Okay. All right. We get a thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you, Crystal. All right.
Okay, so we ready?
Yes. Thank you, Vanessa. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, great. So welcome to Roots Revival Interfaith Services. Ivy Rivera will not be with us tonight. I'll be filling in for her space. And Roots Revival is something that, that Ivy Rivera started, and her mission, our mission is to normalize intuition, and to normalize intuition through the reconnection of our authentic roots, spirit, intuitive, intelligent, and to evolve and heal others. So we understand the 3 truths of intuitive intelligence, evolutionary astrology, and numerology. Okay, so we just want to, Danny's here, of course, and Paul left us for a second, but I'm sure he'll be back. And we just want to say a quick prayer that Spirit is with us during this service, and, the light comes down and inspires us to give a healing message and to bless others out there. Okay, so tonight's topic is karma. So what exactly is karma? You hear the word a lot. Sometimes it's used wrongly. But basically, karma sort of has levels to it, but basically it is action and effect. And people usually say cause and action, but in order to have karma, you have to have an act, and then there's a consequence that follows it, right? So the law of motion says that the energy that goes out must come back. And, it's the same thing as, what goes up must come down. So what goes out must come back. And that is physics, but physics mirrors spirituality. So why does that have to be that way? Why does the energy that goes out, why does it have to come back? Well, because the energy has to balance. And, it's physics, it's all that stuff that I don't understand. So I rely on the scientists to do that part. If you ever have studied quantum physics, that's really interesting, but way over the head of the average person, or at least to me. But the energy has to balance. And sometimes, that energy takes a couple lifetimes to balance. Sometimes we have instant karma. There's all these different levels. And, every religion has some kind of karmic saying. And I don't know all of them, but, like if you ever heard anybody say the golden rule, right? Or, you reap what you sow. People have known this for years. And I know that I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she said, sometimes you don't get to see karma play out, and it's disappointing. And, you can just trust in the universe that it does eventually play out whether or not you see it. So basically, karma boils down to your habits. Some karma is immediate and others takes lifetimes. There's collective karma. There's the karma of a town, of a street, of a neighborhood. There's karma of a nation. There's family karma, and there's individual karma. But all of those things are a part of a whole. And, like think of little light beams, right? But all stemming from source. It's almost like, if God was the ocean, you would be like a little shot glass, and like maybe your family would be a cup, so it's like, you're still part of a whole, and, what you do still affects others. So these habits or these cycles, because karma is cycles, and we all know how hard cycles are to break, right? Because there's no beginning and end. It kind of goes around. So family habits can live within your cells, your DNA, right? Because the DNA has memory, and it becomes a cycle, and it's, it can be very difficult to break. So everybody has karma. Everybody makes karma on a daily basis. One way that we create karma is through your daily habits. Think about your daily actions. I know when I wake up, I brush my teeth. I wash my face. I put healthy foods into my body. I drink water. Think about your daily karma. Everybody has those rituals, those routines, and you don't really think of them as karmic, right? But what happens if my daily routines are really bad? What if I get up and the first thing I grab is some whiskey, and then I grab like Doritos and cake, and I'm have these really habits that are not healthy for my body. Well, eventually that is going to catch up, right? And that's eventually going to, maybe at first it'll be fine, but the karma will catch up with myself. And, so think about your mental thoughts, think about your intentions, but your daily routine, are you creating good karma for yourself and for others? Because if your habits are bad, if your habits are unhealthy, how are other people around you being affected by your unhealthy habits? So, it's not just you. You might think, well, I'm just, I'm doing this bad thing and it's just affecting me. But it's not. It's, if you are cohabitating with people, if you're in a workplace, and just energetically, it's not only you. Number 3, another way we create karma is with our intentions. So do we intend harm to others? Do we intend to deceive? Do we intend to cheat? That will attract an equal reaction at some point and, catch up with the person. And like I said, it's not always instant. It can be, over lifetimes, especially if this is a habit that is continuous. Okay, and number 4, I want to call your attention to, once you know that you are making karma with your habits, then you are bringing consciousness to you creating karma. So just that alone is great to bring consciousness, because now you can think about it. You're not just going on autopilot. So you're bringing consciousness to the table. Then you have responsible choice. So responsible choice is where we can consider the results of our actions and who, if anyone, will be harmed by that. So, you have a decision to make, and you're like, okay, well, if I do this, this might happen. But if I do this, this is going to happen. And you have to kind of think about it, think it out, and, consult your guides, consult your intuition, and then, you make the choice. So being conscious makes you make the choice more wisely. Just think, like, if you're not attached, if you don't have that consciousness and you're just making decisions, you're not considering anybody else. So that can be, negative karma. How do you know if you're making a responsible choice? Well, you have to really think about how it's going to affect others before you commit to it. The universe isn't going to judge you thinking about it. The universe is going to, react to whatever action you put out. Then there's going to be an equal action that comes back. So you want to always make sure that is good for everyone and yourself. Number 5, it's important to remember that every person and spirit are connected. So if you hurt yourself or others, you're impacting their karma as well. And don't think of yourself as a separate entity, but think of yourself as a whole. Connect with spirit, ask for help in making decisions, ask for help being in the present moment, and know how to look for the signs. Ivy has many classes, and I think free classes, about how to look for signs and symbols. So this is to help you make karmic choices that are good, and to tell you what choices not to make as well. If you see yourself as separate, that is really coming from ego. So if you're saying, oh, those people over there, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care what happened to those people. Or if you're using those people at all, that's probably not creating very great karma. And, if you're operating without compassion for people, then you're probably operating solely from the ego, which, will not create good karmic, effects. So we've been talking about the Aquarian age, and we've been talking about, how we're stepping into that. And Aquarius is supposed to bring equality to humanity and kind of reset our values, more equity. But, and we're everything's in a cycle. So we're starting a new cycle, right? We're starting a new karmic cycle, but nobody really talks about what the negative part or the low vibration of Aquarius could be. So the low vibration of Aquarius is detachment and separating the heart from the soul. And, the end justifies the means, and creating bad karma because you're kind of just doing what you need to do. And you're not thinking of anybody else. You're too detached. So this is like one of the negative sides that we just have to be conscious of, because you could really hurt people if you are not mindful when you're making decisions. When I talk about karma in astrology, I think of three things come to mind. The first one is Saturn, because he's the Lord of karma. He shows you where you need to take responsibility. And really, karma is all about responsibility, because once you're conscious, then you have a responsibility to behave in a moral way, in a conscious way. And, Saturn will say, okay, here's where you have to do this work, but you'll have a good payoff later. So they call him the Lord of karma. But if you don't do the work that Saturn tells you to do, you're going to feel that karma as well. And I don't think that Saturn is necessarily judging. I just think that, you get what you sow, right? You reap what you sow. So another karmic planet, very karmic planet, is Pluto. And if you look at Saturn and Pluto in your chart, you can see where your karma is. Some of your karma anyway. But Pluto is past lives and karma and our shadow sides. So wherever Pluto is in the chart, you have to transform that part of yourself throughout this lifetime. So you're bringing in past life stuff with you. And we also have the South Node too. When you were born, the South Node was somewhere in your chart. So wherever that South Node is, you most likely came in with karma on the low vibration of that sign and house. And you have lessons to learn, and you have to go toward the higher North Node. But in the sky last year, Pluto and Saturn came together. And that was the start of all the craziness. So that was January 2020, right? When everybody's life changed, and hasn't been the same since, because the two planets of karma came together and they said, okay, the world is out of balance now. So now we have to rebalance. We have to kind of bring everything down, and we have to rebuild it in a better way, in a more balanced way. So, like it or not, your life was changed. And, our karma caught up with us. That's what happens. So it's our responsibility. This is one of the biggest things. It's our responsibility when we see karmic cycles, and this can be individual karmic cycles, when we see family karmic cycles, or we see karmic cycles with, groups of people. It is our responsibility to disrupt the karmic cycle, because, and we do have the power to disrupt it. And, coming from a place of spirituality, learning about the ego, learning about the higher self, that is a great way to begin to disrupt. And I know that Danny is a huge disruptor because she is an activist. But, I want to talk about a little bit about karma that we see in the news, like some of these things that we have been seeing lately. I know that Danny and I had discussed this a while ago, but Pluto, Saturn coming together, that echoed the karma of the slave trade. And it was a cycle. The cycle was coming to a finish. So we kind of reaped what we sowed there. We had the king who allowed the slave trade to come over to the Americas, and and that is where everything started to spawn. And now we are being asked to make this right, to balance it. So that is where the process is right now, because we have to live in a more equal and just world. White supremacy just shouldn't be a thing. It's evil. So it has to be eradicated. And the only way to do that is to disrupt the cycle. So we have these activists that are out there and really trying to make a difference, but that doesn't mean that you can't make a difference in your own small way as well, because everybody contributes. One thing that we do see in the news, I was looking at Utah, and there was a school who was saying that they wanted to opt out of Black History Month. And it was by parent request, which was like kind of crazy to me that anybody would even think that that would be a thing. Like, why? And I really couldn't believe it. It was like teaching racism through unconscious means, almost. Like, oh, we don't need to learn about those people. Like, what? Like, that's crazy. So, I mean, they eventually retracted that because of how much backlash they got. But this is how racism is taught. There just should not. It should not even be an option. It's dangerous. It's irresponsible. The karmic repercussions of that. You know what I mean? We're talking about, remember, like, we're coming out of that cycle from the slave trade. Now we're going into another cycle. We can't repeat that. So everybody needs to get on board with being equal. And if, we have to think as a collective. Are we only thinking of ourselves, ego, or are we thinking about what is good for the whole? And that's really what Aquarius is all about. What is good for humanity? How can we raise the vibration of humanity? And I know one last thing, and then I'll open it up to you guys. One last thing that we are seeing in the news, in Texas, we are seeing, in one of the biggest Trump states, we're talking about, a place that, denies global warming. And, we're looking at there. Are we looking at responsible choice there? I guess I'll just leave it at that. When we look at the consequences of what is going on, was that responsible choice? So I guess this is a call to everybody to think about your karma this week and how you can better your life and others. All right, I'll open it up. What do you have to say, Danny?
Well, I really appreciate, I always love when you speak about the Aquarian age and our conversation over the summer about the last time the Atlantic slave trade, or the last time that Pluto and Saturn, is that right? We're in transit, is that right? Was during the transatlantic slave trade, and how it's just like these systems being like crumbling as we speak is no coincidence. And it's interesting because I appreciate what you're speaking about, especially in terms of the karma as it is perceived, and as it's kind of like understood, and sometimes even a little misunderstood. So just to kind of like play off a little bit of, or not even play off of, but just even an extension of what you're speaking about in terms of the transatlantic slave trade. So present day prison system is really an extension of slavery. It is just the same evil in just a different form.
I really feel like in New York too, that is big, because I'm a high school teacher, so I see it every single day.
Yeah.
But not to interrupt you, but I'm just saying, I think New York especially is like participating way too much in that.
Absolutely. There are people who are literally sitting in jail cells right now who had not committed the crimes that they had been accused of. And it unfortunately takes decades for evidence, for truth, for DNA to actually come out to allow for vindication to occur for folks. The thing with the prison system, in terms of breaking up karma, the thing that I appreciate is one of the most dynamic yet understated ways of fighting against that system is to bring humanity and joy into the facilities, literally. I had a dear friend who had served for about 40 years while he was in prison. And while he was in prison, the very system that was designed to destroy him, he became a horticulturalist. He learned how to plant, how to nurture a living, breathing plants. I think they were called crocus, if I'm not mistaken. They were like he said they were little green and purple plants that grew out of the concrete within the prison system, within the jail cells. And so his way of fighting back against that system was to be able to cultivate life and to nurture within the very system, within the very structures that were designed to destroy him. And that in and of itself was disrupt. And I love when you said karma, it's like disrupting that karma, because he literally was disrupting that karma. He was bringing joy. He was reminding folks who were behind bars that they were worth more than the way that they were being treated. Also, something that we see too in terms of karma. And so I want to be very careful when I say this, because everyone has the right to feel and want justice when someone that they love has been taken from them, especially at the hand of violence. One thing that I've seen over the years, and having experienced these feelings myself, having lost someone that I love to gun violence, is when the families of the victims, when they are given the opportunity to show love to the person and the people who may have caused them harm, they choose love over hate. And when I was younger, I didn't quite understand how someone could do that until someone that I loved was taken. And then I started to realize that when you are grieving, especially grief that is sudden, and especially when someone is taken way before their time, it is easy to, and I almost did, and I did a little bit, I went to a really dark place, and I felt myself quickly being sucked into this very dark place. And I prayed, and I actually prayed to God, like, please help me to figure out how to love this guy, love the person who had done harm to my family. And so, which would kind of like transfers into a little bit in terms of ancestors and guides and and God is that my prayers were answered. And I was sent a mentor who I think we spoke in a previous Roots Revival session on restorative justice. And I have a mentor who actually facilitated a restorative justice peace circle at my church. And I learned about restorative justice. And I learned that restorative justice is the process of those who have been harmed and those who have experienced the harm, and who caused harm and experienced the harm, having the chance to become whole. And for the person who, and the parties who had been hurt, for the folks who did the offending and who did the hurting, for them to listen to how their actions had an impact on others. And it's this opportunity to come to restoration and for everyone to be whole. And once I understood that, it gave me the opportunity to really genuinely feel love for this person, while also being very sensitive to my other family members who just may not have been in that place, and to never force it on anybody. But I feel like, and I love when you spoke before about intention, it's like, I feel like, I may never meet this person face to face. If I do, I pray that I show him compassion. I pray that I which I do wish him well. But there was a point where I genuinely thought, you know what, I hope one day he does good. He does well. And the thing is, part of karma, there are people who have served in like 30-year sentences, friends of mine who've served 30-year sentences, who became mentors while they were in prison and realized the impact of their actions. And they have shared with me and others how they turned their lives around while they were in prison. And by them intentionally making choices to share their story and to try to uplift the lives of others, that helped me to show love to and genuinely send love to this person who had caused my family harm. And so it is definitely all connected. So just yesterday, one of my favorite movies, it's based off of a book, it's called Cloud Atlas. And it's like a 3-hour movie, but it is so worth it. It's like about reincarnation. And it's kind of interesting because I think of Ivy and mediumship training every time I watch it. And there's a quote in the movie where it says like, our lives are not our own. From womb to tomb, we are connected. And I'm paraphrasing, and it's this is like from with each crime and every kindness, we birth our future. And it just really it reiterates the fact that we have the power to be able to hold the karma that we have been passed down, and to be alchemists, like energy alchemists, and help to create something more powerful moving forward, not only for ourselves, but for those who come after us. And I really appreciate you lifting up how karma is sometimes understood, but just maybe a little misinterpreted. When I think of karma, I try to allow it to give me comfort, in that when I make decisions and when I try my best to make the best decisions, I know that karma will be there to uplift me, whether it be myself or those who come after me. And that it is almost kind of like, not to monetize it, but like money in the bank, Right. But I'm clear with my intentions, though. It's like the intention in doing good is not to, I'm going to have this later on, not like that at all, but more so, okay, I'm going to try to do the best that I can, because, people deserve to be treated well. And I myself want to feel connected. And when we make decisions that, and I love how you say, like, disconnecting our soul from our hearts. Mm-hmm. If I make decisions right now in the here and now, even if the karma comes later, I will feel a disconnect. Like when I give a mediumship reading, I might not feel as connected to spirit. Things might not come as clearly. I might not be able to translate as acutely as I ordinarily might not. And, they're watching and they're listening, and, we earn their trust every day, with the thing, something that I think about often with karma as well, especially like with the ancestors and our guides and spirit, is that something that Ivy teaches us is like the fact that in spirit, especially ancestors, like there are different rules that they have to abide by. And they can't do it for us. They can't do things for us. There are certain boundaries that they have to stand behind. And they can cheer us on. They can give us signs. They can like throw peanuts at us just to make sure that we try to do the right thing. But they can't make the decisions for us. And the thing is, they want for us, especially our family and anyone who loves us and cares for us, who are watching over us, they want to make sure that we make the best decisions that are going to lead to us having the best and the most positive karma as possible. So, they want for us to make the best choices that we can. And we have the power to do that. And it all kind of comes back to, when thinking about today, emotion versus like our previous conversations, our previous Roots Revival services, where we like emotion versus faith, and logic versus faith, right? Where unfortunately, if we allow for our emotions to take the best of us, they can instantaneously give us karma that we have to deal with and have to contend with. And it's going to be our job to try to make it right, live with it, sit with it, and try to heal it. When also thinking about with karma, it is sometimes doing the right thing with knowing that we are not going to have that immediate reward, but that knowing that the reward is going to come in a way that is beyond our wildest expectations. It'll be in a way that even if we might anticipate. So, you know, when thinking about wanting to do things for the right reason and knowing how the universe works, knowing that God will give it back to either us or those who we love in a way that is more perfect than we could even think about. So it's kind of like, stop helping. And I have to remind myself all the time, like, don't help. Like, they don't need it, you know? And when thinking about numerology as well, I know we speak about like our life path number and our expression number, heart's desire number, the numbers that really speak to the path that we're walking and the person that we are, the numbers based off of our birth date and the numeric energy in the name, our birth name, knowing our, like the numeric energy that we were born with, that empowers us to be able to know how the numeric energy can strengthen us, how we can leverage that energy, but then also what to be careful of as well. And if there are moments where we have to feel compassion and be compassionate, and if we know that our maybe life path or expression number is 4, which is very practical, very logical, and at moments where we might need to give a little bit more, have more understanding and give grace, when the practical side of maybe a life path or an expression number 4 person might say, well, you know what? They did this action, they made that decision. The practical thing is for them to sit with what they did and for them to figure it out on their own. They made a mess, go ahead and figure it out. Do it the long way, the way that, you know, I know how to do it. But sometimes it takes for us to go beyond and hold ourselves accountable and do things that might not necessarily feel natural, but that in the end are going to help make sure that we have the best, I shouldn't say the best karma, but karma that will align with who we ultimately want to be, our highest selves, more so. And I also appreciate you lifting up at this moment in time, especially as these systems are crumbling. Every single day, decisions are made. People make decisions about how they're going to show, how they're going to either stand up, speak up, be willing to, even if they might not be ready to actually take that first step, ask how to take that step and how much risk we're willing to take. Because sometimes, dismantling white supremacy means being willing, or any type of privilege, being willing to fight against any type of a privileged system means giving up one's privilege and taking risks in order to do so. So what kind of risks are we willing to take? By speaking up, are we willing to be perfectly fine with however the chips may fall, by standing in the fullness of our, what we know is right, and not being, it is always a balance, because, you know, we have to care for ourselves. We have to be able to live lives where we're able to, make sure that we're okay. But at the same time, there comes a certain point where we have to be willing to say, you know what, this injustice is too much, and I will deal with the consequences later. So those are some of the thoughts I'm thinking about karma.
Paul, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, sorry for the I had to get creative. I tried to hide my screen when I stepped away, and then it kicked me out, and I couldn't get back in without, like, it was saying that I was using this on a different program, and I couldn't refresh things without kicking everybody out. So hopefully this works and there's no echo and everything's okay. So I apologize for all the wackiness going on there. No, I love everything. You guys are hitting this like so powerfully, and it's fantastic. I don't know if you can see the comments, but everybody's really talking about how powerful this is. And I like that you had mentioned Christina, about like energy, and like it's weird. Like every Sunday, it just comes back to me. Everything ties into science when we start talking. But I came across a video the other day, last night, I think, of a kid who was telling his parents he grabbed an onion and he kept telling them it was an apple. And they were trying to talk him out of it, and he was stubborn, so he cried and ate this onion like it was an apple. And I didn't, I mean, it's funny, but I didn't really realize why I saw it until today when we were talking about karma. And, it's this, I feel like it's going to sound wacky, but like it's like an onion on an elastic, and you go, the further away you try to run from this, the more the potential energy is, and then it stretches back and it whacks you. This onion whacks you. But if you just go and like confront, sometimes you have to eat the onion, like karma, you have to eat the onion. And like what Danny was saying with, you can change it with alchemy, then the onion becomes the apple, right? Like, so you eat the onion, it becomes an apple, and then you can move forward. And like, you're not going to run from that apple, or, if you can kind of move it, you can move your karma and stuff that way, but you can change it. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people, they kind of see it in a bad way. Like karma's always out to get them, when it's really only out to get you if you set yourself up that way and you're not doing enough to convert it into something beneficial. Like, you can give and give and give, and people say, oh, it's good karma, it's adding to my karma, which, yeah, sure, that's great, it's building there. But if you have things that you're not settling, you're just kind of distancing, you're adding this distance, and you're going to get whacked harder by that onion. And, it's tough. It's like, I know you both have nice shadow work mini classes coming up, so this is going to be fantastic, but it's something you have to do. You have to figure out why you are just over giving, maybe, and trying to buy yourself karma instead of just eating the onion. Eat the onion and turn it into the apple that you're kind of just painting it right now. You're trying to paint the onion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that, like when Danny was speaking about intention, it really has to come from the soul or from the heart, when you are making a decision or you are helping somebody. You can't just help somebody and be like, I help everybody and nobody helps me. And you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be you have to be in the right mind frame for that energy to come back. You can't be like, well, I'm going to go and hand money out to everybody so that I get money. It really just has to be genuine and from the heart. Intention, and you have to not expect anything back from it. It just has to be a way you live. And really, karma is, habits, and, we all make choices. We don't always make the right choices, but you have to look at the intentions behind the choices. I know that Teach Me Something New, Elsie was asking about the transatlantic slave trade. I don't really know off the top of my head because I don't memorize facts. But I did look it up, and there was a segment of the global slave trade that was transported, between 10 million and 12 million enslaved Africans across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas, the 16th to the 19th century. So that's when it started. And then it was the second of the triangular trade. So slaves from Africa were shipped to the Americas, and that's when American, slavery began. And that happened right when the when Pluto and Saturn came together the last time. So this was the end of a cycle, because if you think about it, maybe slavery ended, but it really didn't. It just morphed into something else. And, you know, I'm very passionate. Danny talks about young boys going into jail, and I freak out because I see it every day. You know what I mean? I see us pushing, especially Black boys, into the prison system. I see how the system is set up to do that. And it is very difficult to disrupt it. Even as a teacher, even in the middle of it, it is very difficult to disrupt it. I have also had, I've also had friends. I had a friend who served 25 months in jail for a crime he did not commit, and they just let him go after 25 months. They just said, okay, you're free to go, because they had nothing. So why should he, you know, if there was no evidence, why was he there for 25 months? You know what I mean? Like it just, so there's a lot that needs to. Sorry, we have to build better karma.
Absolutely, yeah. Like when you spoke about young boys being sent to prison, it is literally history repeating itself as we speak, as we live, and the generational trauma that so many of us live with and are unfortunately trying to heal from. It is kind of like stuck within this sandwich almost. It is this trying to heal from the trauma, but then being unfortunately sent to and kind of forced back into these systems. And then once they're actually in those systems, then it is a matter of being told to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Once they then are not victims of, but victimized by these systems. And it's just this unfair set of unspoken rules. Some of them are outrightly explicit. It's just, it's awful. It's really awful.
Yeah, people have no idea. They really don't until you actually see it. You see the roadblocks, just one roadblock after another roadblock after another roadblock, making it so that people give up on purpose.
Yeah. And we also see women. One of the most disgusting aspects of the system is the fact that women who are pregnant are often made to give birth, shackled to they're literally their ankles and their arms are shackled to a bed while they're giving birth. And it is one of the most horrific things to ways that women are it's just disgusting. It's absolutely horrific. And it really is tantamount, and it is reflective, unfortunately, of what we saw during enslavement, like when women would give birth and then their babies were taken and stripped from them. So then, hundreds of years later, we have women, many of whom are women of color, who are chained to a bed, they give birth, and then maybe for a short period of time, they're allowed to stay with their children, but then it's just so awful, and it's so unfortunate. And a lot has to be done. So much needs to be changed. Also, we, in terms of folks who identify as trans, there are so many things about these systems that are disgusting, but one of them is, a trans person, when a trans person is sent to prison, that a person is often sent to a facility whose the gender of that facility is, they're sent to a facility that is associated with their birth gender as opposed to who they are, as opposed to how they identify. And the torture, the inhumane treatment is just, unspeakable. And so there's just a lot. Every time someone speaks up and speaks out against these systems, it raises our collective vibration. And the commitment to making change is also something that I feel like adds to our collective trauma. Excuse me, it adds to, and it helps to heal this the karma that has been sent down to us, passed down to us rather.
Excellent. Somebody was talking about a movie. I didn't see that.
Oh, yep, the
They were talking about.
Atlas.
What is it?
The movie Cloud Atlas.
Oh, okay.
It essentially, it's kind of like it's a movie where I think about the span of 500 years, where people are reincarnated. And it's kind of like when I think in one of Ivy's mediumship classes, someone asked, "Do we just have one life?" And she said, you wish you only had. So we literally see these souls, like Halle Berry and Tom Hanks were two of the main characters, and they were reincarnated over and over again until they to this. They kept learning lessons, and they kept meeting each other in these lives until they got to this. Let me not give the story away. I'm such a spoiler. Yeah, I won't do that. I won't. But it's a beautiful story, and it just really kind of speaks to the power of karma. How it's like our actions have a direct impact.
Yeah, and I think that we just, we think of ourselves, we kind of come from ego, but we don't realize how much our actions have impacts on everybody as a collective. It's not just you. Like if we're going to hire our vibration, it's like everybody has to get involved in that. I just think that, people don't take it seriously enough. I mean, you can talk about immediate karma, but some karma, goes through the lineage, like you have ancestral karma, you have, there's so much. And, they did the best, they most likely did the best they could while they were here. But now, they're trying to help you make better choices. And that really, we have to evolve. We have to. The only constant in life is change. So we have to evolve that karma. Paul, you got anything that you want to add?
No, no. I'm loving this whole thing. This is such a learning experience for me on karma. I know very little about it, so it's great to know more. But I do want to let people know that they can stop posting their prayer requests. To throw those in now while we're taking it, and we'll get to those shortly. So, no, thank you guys so much. This is great for me.
And I think I was reading Gary Zukav, and some of the parts of karma are a little bit hard to swallow, because there's so much we can't see and we don't know. So maybe we see something that seems very unjust to us, an injustice. And sometimes it is a karmic cycle playing out that we don't know. You know what I mean? Like we don't understand it. And, we know there's no random acts. We know that everything, it has a purpose. And even though it seemingly doesn't, sometimes it ends up being karma from a past life or something like that. So that is interesting as well. But I think that we can take control and we can empower ourselves by just being aware and changing, like disrupting it, by, being conscious, thinking about our daily habits. And, another big thing too with karma, do you know your soul's purpose? Are you actively working towards your soul purpose? Or are you just kind of wandering around here? Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here on earth? Know your purpose. Know that you have a place here. Everybody has a special talent or a special gift to give people. So start by doing that and creating good karma. That's what I think anyway.
I so appreciate you speaking about the choices and the like our ability to be able to have have a direct influence on the way that our lives are able to unfold, you know, is really powerful. Something that's interesting too, and when thinking about today, and even as you were speaking, it really kind of affirmed it, that sometimes with karma, so, and the spirit does this sometimes, like spirit does this in readings, spirit does this in general. Like when you ask for guidance, like what should I do? And sometimes the answer is it's up to you. And it's just, oh, I don't want that answer. I don't want it. Like sometimes it's like I kind of like want like a definitive answer, but sometimes we're not given a definitive answer because it is up to us to make the decision. And it is up to us to hold the karma of the decision. And the thing is, so they know that we're given just enough sometimes. And no disrespect, like at all. Sometimes when information is given to us, when we are expected to make when we're expected to make the decision, and that we know that we're going to hold the karma, they know, they're very smart. They're very true. They're smart. They know that we are aware that we are going to hold the karma of the decisions that we make. So it's kind of like we want to get ahead of the game. I want to sometimes get ahead of the game and say, okay, what is going to be the thing that's going to be the most, the least harmful thing, and the thing that's going to allow for me to have calm, and whatever it is, I'll just do it. And they're just like, no. Yeah, we know you want that. We know you want smooth sailing. We know you want things to be good, but no, you have to give what you're given, follow your gut, and make the best decision that you can. And then hold the karma that comes after that. And it's kind of like, we're not going to do your homework for you. I'm like, no, it's not how this works. So it's interesting the way that I feel and I see karma working, because it's like we're cheered along, but then we're not given full answers all the time. And I can't tell you the number of times where the response has been when I'm being prayerful, when I connect with another medium like Paul. Paul has been really helpful in many ways. And sometimes the answer is, well, you know what to do. Like they're saying, you know what to do. And it's just, oh, got that answer. Okay. So that's the way that works sometimes, it feels. But we're all going to be okay. I mean, especially when we try.
Awesome. Paul, are we ready for prayers, or?
Yeah.
Any
I have a
closing
couple
statements?
here. No, but it's like it's like when you say you know what to do, you know what you have to do. That's like you have to go eat that onion. Like you've been avoiding it, and like you know what you're gonna do. But that's okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I always say, like, do your best and surrender the rest. That's always a good motto to live by. There's certain things you can't carry. You have to just kind of give, and you control what you can control.
I love that. Do your best and surrender the rest.
Yes.
I love that. Okay.
Okay, you're gonna move ahead with prayers?
Yeah, let's start in on the prayer. So if you have some to submit that you haven't submitted yet, please do so now, and we'll get to them right as we get through these. But we have a couple prayers here. We want one for Alex. Okay, she has a prayer for her grandmother, who was just diagnosed with breast cancer and goes in tomorrow to find out what stage it is in. So let's lift this up for Alex, her grandmother. her family, and the doctors. Claim this healing. Prayer for Alex's family. This one is from Liz, who has a prayer for the children, especially those in toxic situations and poverty. Thank you for that one, Liz. Lift that up for the children. And pray for the children and claim healing and safety and quick escape in certain situations for those children. Dania, Christina, do you have any to add?
I do want to just say a prayer for any inmates who are really struggling, with life, and pray that they, if they need to, become conscious and follow a better path.
Also, would love to pray for the people of Texas, those down in Texas who are suffering as a result of the horrific storms that have hit. Pray that everyone who is without power, without heat, without running water, that all of their utilities are restored, that they receive all of the food and nourishment and resources that they can possibly need, and that there be no more deaths as a result of the storm. We pray for them and pray that their healing process and restoration process is as quick as possible. Claim that healing.
We have one from Amy, who wants a prayer for Tiara Lott's family, that they may find comfort and healing during this difficult time. Let's lift this up for Tiara's family. Tiara herself here, healing and some sense of closure, that she can get, from the other side. Lift that up and claim that healing for Tiara's family, friends, loved ones, and her herself.
All right, so I think that's the end of the prayers, Paul. So, okay, so we're going to end the show. Any last words, anyone?
Well,
Thank you, Danny, for all your insight.
it's my pleasure. Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul.
You're very welcome. Thank you too. This was fantastic. I learned so much. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
You did a wonderful job, Christina.
Oh, thank you.